Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, and welcome back to Grizzly Bear Farms, and of course, welcome back to Pine Cove Farm. This is Pine Cove Farm episode number 10, and it's brought to you by, just kidding, it's brought to you by yourself. I appreciate you guys coming back each and every time here on the channel. I do appreciate it. I appreciate all the wonderful comments that you guys have been leaving as well. And I appreciate all the new subscribers. So welcome to the Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel. Hopefully you have figured out that this is a little bit different channel than your typical farm sim or any other type of game sim channel, even though I don't have a whole lot of other simulation based games on the channel at this particular point in time. It is something that over time will get added, and you know, we'll just see what those titles are. Obviously, cattle and crops will probably be the very next thing that you guys will start seeing any sort of content on, other than maybe train sim. I got the latest and greatest train sim just the other day, and I did a live stream on it, sort of a very first look. I hadn't played train sim in possibly like a year and a half or 2 years. I had forgotten what all the controls were and all that kind of stuff, and kind of muddled our way through it. And but I've since spent a little bit of time with it, and have enjoyed it. So basically, we find ourselves here in this first game day of summer. This is kind of a continuation of the day from our mowing day. So essentially the same game day. We've got all of our big equipment here lined up to be pressure washed, and primarily because we're done with, I think for the most part, I believe we're done with a lot of this massive big stuff here. I wish Billy Bob had parked this a little bit closer, because my hose is stretched out here as long as it'll go, and it won't go any further. So, all part of what keeps a farm running, what keeps a productive farm like this going strong, is obviously a good maintenance program. Maintenance is oftentimes more than just changing the oil and changing the oil filters and things of that nature. It is also keeping these beasts clean and keeping them running smoothly. Got just a little bit of lag. I've got quite a bit of equipment down here in this portion of the farm, and hitting the E key or hitting the R key to turn the sprayer on, sometimes there's a slight delay. So anyway, hope you all are having a wonderful time, and hope you're having a good time playing Farm Sim, whether it be Farm Sim 15 or maybe even Farm Sim 17 on your own virtual farms. And so part of our plan, part of our program here on Pine Cove Farm, this is sort of a rescue effort, if you will. The storyline has essentially been such that we took this farm over. The original owners just kind of walked away from it because they were so underwater as far as bills and who they owed, and they just weren't getting the productivity out of the farm. And so they basically decided, it was time to sort of hang things up, and well, that's what they did. And so we stepped in, and we went ahead and took things over, and myself and several partners, and so that's really what we've been doing. There was a lot of money that got put into getting everything sort of set up and getting things going, and we're just going to basically pull through. We're not going to use this shed for much of anything over the period of time that we're going to be parking stuff in here. Let me turn off that backup light. So basically what we're essentially doing here today is we're just basically washing up our big equipment. We are going to do some spraying as well, so don't think that all we're going to do is run the pressure washer. So keep watching, folks. Now I've got Stan. We did pretty well yesterday with in the previous, I will say the previous episode, same game day, but we did pretty well with our mowing project. Essentially, essentially we got 1.5 million liters of grass off that field, which basically filled up the silo here at the main farm. And then we got another about another 300,000 liters of hay off that field as well. So so what Stan is doing now is Stan is basically moving the grass from the main farm silo that you see behind us here, and he is moving that. I'll just drive over that direction so you can see a little better. So he's basically moving the grass from this main silo. This is where we brought it and dumped it after we cut it, after we pulled it off the big field, and he's basically taking it around here and he's placing it into our silage fermentation silo. So he'll come along here in just a moment and dump that. So of course I'm using Courseplay. Just set up a very simple fill and transport course for him to operate on. So the silage, the silo there, the silage producing silo, I'll get that out in just a moment, holds about 300,000 liters. So that's probably going to fill up here momentarily. He may already be full. I'm showing something up there at 97%. So quite possibly he may already be full. So we're going to stack these in here like this. As I said, we're pretty much done with these beasts. It's possible, I don't know, we'll see. It's been sort of my history is that parking brake is that using these tractors to run like tippers off the field and such, emptying combines, is not they're not the best. We may end up having to drive one when we go to harvest the chaff off of our cornfield for the BGA. I don't know. We'll just kind of have to see how things go once we get there. So right now we're going to go down and we're going to jump into our Challenger, because that's probably one of my well, I tell you what, just for Duck Zorley. God, I'm having a difficult time getting my tongue around and speaking properly. But for Duck Zorley, who I know watches my channel, and I appreciate it very, very much, we're going to go ahead and wash the Big M for him, because this is his favorite piece of equipment, and it's what he really enjoys using on the Dude Ranch, which is a multiplayer server for the 3 Dudes Gaming Network. And so he enjoys the heck out of cutting grass and pretty much everything that involves that process. And so we're going to obviously keep his rig nice and clean for him. And we'll go ahead and park it up, and then we're going to get started with the tasks that we need to do today. And so he'll just kind of live in here, I think, for now. All right. So again, sort of, what is it they say? Cleanliness is next to godliness, or something like that. So we will head over and get into our Challenger here. And we're just going to drop the forage wagon there, and we're going to head to the store and pick up what we purchased there. Let me make sure I don't have a front weight on. Even though I tend to only like to drive the clean tractors into town, we're going to go ahead and drive this dirty one in, just because I'm not gonna waste your time on watching me wash this tractor. So what we did was I purchased a spray rig. I was gonna purchase the big self-propelled New Holland. Um, I like that. I like using that on the large farms. But since you guys, especially those of you that have been with me for some time now, you saw me use that piece of equipment on Goldcrest Valley. And because I have yet to use the sprayers from the Kuhn DLC pack, I thought, well, that's going to be the best bet for this series because I want to try to get, not only do I want to try to get my money's worth out of the Kuhn DLC, because after all, I purchased it. Primarily, going into the purchase, I knew that for the most part, what I would be using the most would most likely be the square bell wrapper, and so that has proven to be a very wise investment. Purchasing the square bill wrapper for law folds, of course, and so for this map, obviously we're really not doing any sort of bailing. Let's see how. I think that's the. Yep, that's the front. The pickup point for some of this is quite close. You kind of have to bump things around a little bit to get your tractor in there. You'd think that they would take a little bit more advantage of this parking lot and place the spawning point a little bit further out away from the buildings. Now I've got oh cool, that's the tank, the sprayer. Oops, sorry miss. All right, that's the reflections of the beacon in the back window, which is cool. I like the reflections in Farm Sim 17. I know that occasionally I get on my soapbox and I start mildly complaining about things, about the state of, Giants Farm Sim 17. But, all in all, it definitely is a step up from 15. I still believe that today, while I believe that there are still some challenges. And I'll be honest, and I'll use the word disappointment. I'm a little disappointed in the fact that, we essentially had 2 updates to the game. Well, I guess we've had about 3 or 4 since the game was released, but things worked really well in version 1.3 something or another, and then 1.4 came along, or maybe it was 1.4.2 or whatever, and that sort of broke things. And then the one that came in directly after that, I think maybe it's 1.4.4, or maybe we're on 1.4.2. I don't know. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, guys. That made things a little better, but still, they're. So basically, let me jump over here into this guy here, because what's going to happen is he is going to just continue to sort of drive around and around and around. And what we'll do here is go ahead and dump the grass back in, because we've reached, as I said, that silage producing silo only holds 300,000 liters of grass or chaff or whatever you want to put in it to make silage, and so it has reached its capacity, and so we're gonna just leave that there and go back over here to this guy here and finish doing what we were going to do. So we basically need to fill this with fertilizer. I suppose we could have filled this up with fertilizer on our way back from the store and stopped by the BGA, and I've got some of that somewhat free fertilizer. All right, so we will fill both of these up. let's just take a look at these in the store. I know they've been out long enough that you probably know everything that there is to know about them. This is the first time I've used this. This holds 4,100 liters, and then the front tank holds 1,500. So hopefully that will be enough for the big grass field. I sort of thought for about 5 minutes on spraying manure there, but you know why? Oh, I know why, because I haven't switched over to it. And of course, what happens is this shows a combined total, so it doesn't split them. It doesn't split them off. So let's go back to our rig here. Anyway, I was going to do this in liquid manure, but I didn't think I had enough yet anyways. So once we get the BGA going, then obviously that's going to be producing lots of digestate, and of course more time will have passed and our liquid manure will fill up as well. So, but I figure we will hopefully it'll register as being fertilized with this. But in any event, I feel that this would be something that we would certainly do if we're going to keep this grass meadow. Of course, we pulled 1.5 million liters of grass off that field. Well, okay, that's a bit unfair. I had probably, I don't know, maybe 150, 200,000 liters of grass in storage before we started the mowing back here. So, but still, it's pretty clear to say that over 1 million liters of grass came off this back meadow back here, and then a couple of 100,000 liters of hay as well. At least I think that's what the numbers are. So. So yeah, we would definitely, in the real world, we would definitely be tending to this to make sure that it stayed healthy, so that maybe we can get another cutting off of it, at least a partial cutting off of it. I don't know that we will need, don't know how much we will need going into winter. Now, of course, it begs the question, brings up the question that running the seasons mod. Our grass situation, are we in for a potential problem because the grass going to go away? Is the grass in the silo, for example, if we don't get all of the grass out of the main silo, will that disappear? Will that become, susceptible to whatever the seasons mod does to it? I think the answer to that is probably yes. Okay, because grass is grass, whether it's in a bell or whether it's in, whatever else. So anyway, so we do need to be cautious about that. And so one of the tasks that I've assigned to Billy Bob and Jim Bob and Stan is to make sure that they are constantly running the silage that's getting produced in the silage silo. As soon as we can get a trailer load of that done, they're basically moving that back to the main silo or filling up the mixing station, one of the two. All right, so enough jibber jabber. Let's get our spray rig going. I guess we could have waited until we got a little bit closer there, but nonetheless, we are off. And so we'll just see how this works. We may let me put on some cruise control here because my foot's going to get sore running at this speed. So we will spray. It looks like it's taking it, at least from the standpoint that the soil texture is turning dark, so that's cool. And we'll just sort of use our opportunity here to grab a screenshot in a few minutes, because if I don't do it while I'm actually thinking about it, then you know what happens. I will forget. All right, and we're off again. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. Are you looking forward to the weekend? I am. I'm recording this on Sunday morning. Sunday morning, the 19th of March. And later this afternoon, later this evening, I get to do one of my least favorite things, and that is go out and go to the airport and interact with TSA. For those of you in the U.S., and if you travel, then you know what I'm talking about. I don't mind the traveling aspect at all. I will say that, you know, in a post 9/11 world that we live in, the whole thought of air travel and everything is not as attractive as it was when I was in my 20s, or even you know, early 30s, and young and single, and you know, really didn't know any better. And come on, trying to get it to. And so, but now in this world that we live in, you know, especially like I said, post 9/11, everything is more time consuming. And I'm not complaining about that, because I definitely would rather err on the side of safety and precaution and all that kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, sometimes I get to thinking that we are slowly, as a society, as a you know, as a group of people, maybe as a nation, maybe as a group of nations, I sometimes think that we're forgetting about the things that happened on 9/11, and I don't want to go any further than that, because that tends to turn the conversation political and all this other kind of stuff, and so I'll just leave it at that. But from my own perspective, you know, going out to the airport, you know, I still enjoy flying, I still enjoy traveling, and but it's just, you know, it's an added layer of time that gets tacked on. When I was a younger person, you know, just kind of starting out my IT career many moons ago, you know, it was often fun, the idea of traveling, the idea of going someplace different, or maybe even going to the same place over and over. I mean, sometimes that's just the way that it worked out. And but it was cool. It was you know, it was interesting. It was, you know, when you're single and you don't know any better, that's just kind of some of the things that you do. But you know, I remember, and at the time I lived and I worked in Dallas, and I could leave my apartment, which was in North Dallas, off of sort of LBJ and Midway area, for those of you that might watch my channel from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. That was my apartment, was over there in Addison, and so let me do my turn here. So I could leave my apartment, maybe, you know, especially if it was on the weekend. A lot of times I would travel on Sunday evenings. So I could leave my apartment about 2 hours before my flight. I could arrive at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. I sort of had a system, and I always parked at the same location. I could take the shuttle to the terminal. I could walk inside the terminal, walk through security, usually go down to one of my favorite spots there in Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, which was the Dallas Cowboys Sports Bar. Yes, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. And I could have a drink or something, and then I could basically meander on down to my gate, get on the airplane, and leave, and all of that. Well, in this world that we live in now, you know, I'm at the airport a minimum, even for a domestic flight, about 2 hours before. because here in Colorado, now the saying is everything is bigger in Texas. In Colorado, Denver International Airport, and if you live here or if you've flown through it, you know what I'm saying, you know what I mean. Denver International Airport is huge. Where I have to park typically, because my company doesn't like to reimburse parking, the indoor parking, the enclosed parking, so I'm usually in one of the outer lots. But even from there, it's a good maybe 30 minutes or so before I can get inside the terminal once I park, 20 minutes maybe. And then I've got to go through, I got to check my bag usually, because I despise those people that try to basically take everything on as carry-on. You know, I would much rather use checked baggage and just let someone else deal with my luggage and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, check my luggage, and then I've got to go down. I've got to go down to the next level. I've got to go through security. Well, security at DIA, for whatever reason, is probably the worst airport that I have traveled through in the last maybe 5 or 6 or maybe 10 years, as far as the length of time that it takes to get through security. It's just atrocious. And so then you got to get on a train, because usually I'm flying out of either C terminal, so I've got to take a train underground all the way out to C. Well, that takes another amount of time to get there, and then you know, I'm there an hour, you know, about 45 minutes to an hour before my flight. Then I got to deal with Southwest and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So what I'm saying is it's just, you know, it's just a bit of a hassle, and you know, it used to didn't be that way, but it is. It's what it is. We're gonna just have to deal with it. We got to suck it up and just deal with it. But yeah, so I get to do that later today. So we're doing well on our yield, on our fertilize yield here. I think we'll be able to get this entire field done in the span of time that, or I'm sorry, not in the span of time, but with this amount of fertilizer. I don't think we'll have to go back and refill. All right, well, the timer is telling me that I'm quickly approaching the magic number of how I tend to run my episodes, and I've had so many people comment on the fact that they appreciate the fact that I am consistent, that I'm consistent with my my episode timing, and you know, I do it for the benefit of you all. But I also do it for the benefit of myself, because clearly if I keep things a bit consistent, then I know that, you know, my recording time is what it is. My, you know, rendering, all my post-production stuff is you know, consistent usually. My upload, you know, the amount of time that it takes to upload a 30 to 40 minute video is pretty consistent. So it really does benefit myself as well as it does each of you. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the episode here before we get this task completed. I will complete this task off camera. I think that based on kind of where we are with this game day, with where we are with crops and stuff around us, and what the activities that we really have to do, I think that this will probably wrap up this episode. Episode 10 will wrap up this game day. So when we come back together again, and that should be the next episode of Pine Cove Farm, would be episode 11 on Friday. we will probably be in a new game day. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we might actually be able to cut the corn chaff from our cornfield next to the BGA. We might be able to do that in that game day. So that will probably be what that episode will be about. So I will, as I said, I will get this done off camera, finish this up, and come back once this is done, fast forward through the rest of this day, and bring us back together for episode number 11. Now, I'm not 100% sure that episode number 11 will actually feature the BGA, cutting the chaff, the corn at the BGA. It's possible, because I do remember I'm flying later today. It's possible that I will not be able to get everything set up for that in time, so it might be other tasks that we need to do since we are starting a brand new day. It might be a little bit more about that versus the BGA stuff, just because to do the BGA, I need to set up a couple of course play routes and stuff, and so I also need to spend a bit of time with my wife this afternoon. She's actually still sleeping right now, so that's why I'm able to kind of get down here and record a couple of episodes. So I've got basically everything ready to go except for one last episode that I need to record, obviously. So anyway, I'll just start by rambling and telling you all thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I like this Kuhn sprayer. It's pretty cool. I gotta say, I was a little unsure if I would like it as much as I like the self-propelled New Holland. It's just a different experience, I suppose. And I think for a field like this works out quite well. And even though we are trying to go somewhat green on our farm here, spraying the hay meadow here with chemical fertilizer, at least at this particular stage, is not too bad. Again, like I said, we're trying to accumulate more liquid manure, because obviously that's what we're hopefully going to use when we start turning our fields around after we harvest. So harvest will be coming soon as well, so looking forward to that. It's kind of, the stuff to do in these episodes of Pine Cove, as well as even in the winter months of Lawfolds, is a bit few and far between, just because there's only so much we can do, and I don't want to make things too boring for you. So I will just go ahead and say thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys will check out all the other talented YouTube folks that are doing farm sim videos. If you look down in my list underneath the video, you'll see quite a few of those guys, and so if you'll check out their channels, I will appreciate that. That'll be good for me and good for you, because it's good for you because it gives you other quality content to watch, and it's good for me because, well, they're my friends, and they have certainly helped me out grow my channel, and I'd like to continue to pay it forward and help them, send them some viewers as well. Also, don't forget to go and register for a free forum account over at PCSG and also the Three Dudes Gaming Network. I hang out on both of those user communities and interact with folks, and if you have questions, you can always contact me through either of those two forums, or just start a thread and ask away, and lots of folks will help you out, because there's just years and years and years of experience over there with the farm sim stuff. So thank you all again so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Take care now, and come back to see us here on Pine Cove or Lawfolds very, very soon. Bye-bye.